Hey guys, Greg here on the Vinyl Rundown. This is what's known as a room tour video. This is a tour of the main vinyl room at our house, and we'll show you some of the records, we'll show you some of the stereo equipment, etc. This is not the main hi-fi system. This is kind of a vintage system that's been pieced together with garage sale and thrift store stuff. We have better systems in other parts of the house. But this is the room where the kid and the wife like to play their records all day while I'm slaving away at work. So they don't get the fancy stuff. But we'll go over that. So there's your 5x5 IKEA, 25 cubes of IKEA. And on the corner we've got, on each corner, it's flanked by a 2x4, which is 8 cubes, but we use 2 of the cubes on the sides for storage. Don't forget the big, beautiful dining room table. It's always full of records coming in and out of VC videos, and occasionally I let people eat here, do their homework. So let's look in this little corner. There's one of my guitars, my old Frankenstrat. We've got cassettes piled up here. Someday I'll do a video of the cassette collection. And there's one of her Wilco box sets. And there's a little area to flip through records because we're out of space. So. No particular type of music there, other than it's stuff that didn't fit elsewhere. Here's a cool 45 collection. Let's see if I can open this with one hand. Come on. Oh. Look at that. I bought a large collection of about 600 records a few years ago, and it came with a stack of 45s. My KRK studio monitors. Very well-regarded studio monitors. These are what did I say? These are vintage, not visionary. Okay, do you want to see every cube? There's 40 cubes of records here. Starting on the far left, we have pop vocals. Lots of Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Nat King Cole and Johnny Mathis. Only 2 cubes of pop vocals. And we have only 2 cubes of classical. You can see the Deutsche Grammophon yellow and Beethoven box set. We got a lot more classical. So these are going to get moved out of here into another part of the house. Then we have the beginning of the wife's rock music that she calls alternative rock, because she's into 80s alternative rock. So we start with A for Adam Ant, through B for Blondie, and what's down here? She's got some Boston and Boomtown Rats. And the Clash starts down there, and then we go back up here to more C for Clash. What do I see? Country Club, Marshall Crenshaw, English Beat, so forth and so on. I'm not going to give you every single cube because that would bore you to death. Then we have the M's, and then Tom Petty. Lots of Tom Petty, as you can see. This is so tight. I want to move all this around because you cannot get in there. What else? P for Prince, and the Police, and what else? I got to contort my body to get in here and see this. The Shins, and down on the S's for the Stranglers. And up here we've got her favorite, Wilco. You know Wilco's her favorite. She's got all the Wilco there is to have. And then the miscellaneous rock. Then it gets right into the A's again, because that's what we call geezer rock, or classic rock. Starting with Aerosmith. Hey, who snuck ABBA in there? AC/DC, ABBA. Beatles, lots of Beatles. Not compared to some people, but, you know, Beatles, Jackson Browne. So I've got all the classic rock here from my era. Eric Clapton, ELO, Jimi Hendrix, etc., etc. S's, Santana, Paul Simon, Stones, lots of Rolling Stones. Look at all the UFO. That's cool. So this is the end of rock here. Steely Dan, Sun, Van Halen, The Who, Yes. So that's the end of rock. Well, there's some Zappa. Zappa goes all the way down to here. And then there's some miscellaneous junk. And then this down here is actually big band. This whole thing is big band. Stan Kenton and Duke Ellington and Gil Evans. This is miscellaneous stuff that we might get rid of. duplicates. Then we start into the good stuff, jazz. A's in jazz, Cannonball Adderley, John Abercrombie, B for Brubeck, Gary Burton. Check out my Modest, Impulse, Coltrane. You got Alice and John Coltrane. Ornette Coleman over here, which I featured in a video. Lots of Miles Davis. Okay, then we're moving through the mid section of jazz, etc. I'm not going to do every cube because you're already bored probably. This is soul right here. Okay, we just have one token cube of soul. Sorry, look at all the jazz we got. We don't have that much soul. Isley Brothers, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross. And jazz follows down here, so that's kind of awkward. There's records on the floor because we got more records than we can store. And then we have my young teenage son who has his own couple of cubes. He's into Devo, Queen, Hendrix, Roland Kirk, and Black Keys. And what else is he into? Who am I missing? Weird Al. And then we got real miscellaneous type stuff. Soundtracks, blues, some comedy, some country. Country is only about one cube. And we got these nice add-on cubes at the side where you can throw in your record cleaning fluid. You gotta buy those. Doors separately from IKEA. And then the little music station here. So this is the Toshiba SA-S55 Japanese receiver that I've had actually since college. I bought used off of the recycler. What we used to call Craigslist in those days. Let's bring some light in here. Move the lights. Does that help? So that's Toshiba. It's ancient. This is a JVC compact disc player. Got it at the Goodwill for probably 14 bucks. And then the Sony. Look at this beauty. Look at this vintage Sony. What's the model number? TCK35. Let's get those VU meters moving because they're awesome. So you can see the VU meters in the old classic sense. Where did I get this Sony? Well, I found it on the side of the road, literally. Brought it home. It sort of worked. It didn't quite work. It needed a belt. Bought the belt online. Paid 20 bucks for a belt on a machine that cost nothing. And it was not easy to put in. And this is a really old machine, so it does not have like a metal bias. It has Dolby. It has high EQ and whatever, but it doesn't have the latest metal tape formulations. It has a nice microphone input though. You can do nice recordings off this. And anyway, miscellaneous stuff for cleaning records. And here's the turntable we use in this room. This is the Technics SLD3. Got that at a thrift store. It was probably 29 bucks or something. Put a nice needle on it. Put a Audio-Technica slimline something needle. Here's the weird thing about this table. It's been customized. It has a switch that says 78 RPM. This is one of the only turntables that you can easily customize and add 78 RPM. I found a YouTube video. You go inside into the circuit board, you add one resistor and a switch to put that resistor in and out of the circuit, and you got 78 RPM. And I've got another head shell with a 78 RPM cartridge. And this cartridge is also based on the AT95, so it's pretty much the same weight. So the good news is, once you set the tracking weight and all that stuff, you can swap in and out without really changing things around. Got a little record display rack here that we sort of built out of some wood and plexiglass. Very cramped here. You can see this place is cramped. Look at those beautiful photographs. Those are photographs I did of my wife's, too bright in here, vintage key collection. Macro photography shots of some of her best vintage keys. Guys, that is most of the record room. I got the SpinClean up there. That's the rack that I use to dry records with. And I'll show you one more thing here. I've told you about the Wilco posters we have because my wife is the world's biggest Wilco fan. Gotta get out of the sun here, so we got a couple of those. Let's see. Denver, Colorado, 2007. Texas, 2009. We weren't at those shows, but we have got posters from the shows that we've been to. Alright guys, this has been a quick tour of the Vinyl Rundown's main vinyl storage room. I got 3 or 4 other stereos in other parts of the house, other record players, other piles of records. This is the main pile of records. So, there you go. Thanks, guys.